Oh, yes. Thinking about going to brunch here in just a little while. Pooch. But my phone, the other phone that I have that has a lot of documentation on it, I'm going to have to charge it up. Pooch. Well, let's say you made a bad behavior judge, did you? Because of your judgmental attitude towards those that are parents? Pooh. And your thought was, well, we'll issue for $1,500 a month, and if he has a problem, he can motion the court. It goes to the state of Washington as a judgment for support. Yes. And I've got to convince them that you made a bad judgment as a homeless, indigent pauper that doesn't have any rights enforced. Pooh! Now they would say, well, we can reverse the judgment of the court. And I'd say, well, why don't you contact the judge that made the judgment? And do you still owe the back child support for the amount that was originally issued from the court at $1,500 a month? Or do they make an adjustment a couple years later as I contact them as a father of 5 sons? Now, I'm kind of thinking that the states have this idea that whatever the initial judgment is, they start adding up the total amount from that point, and they never reverse their decision. Child support never reverses a decision. Now, they can adjust it based upon your current circumstance, yes, but they don't have to take in consideration the actual circumstances at the time of the dissolution of marriage. Yes. Now, I know that I told you our marriage certificate was from the United Nations and I'm wanting to divorce my wife. Yes. And I wanted my victims' resources and I wanted my victims' rights. Yes. I wanted to talk to my sons. Pooh. But I'm thinking that the government always sides with the judge because the citizen doesn't have a fucking thing to say. Now, what if you overcharged me for just 1 month? Pooch. I find out you issued a dissolution of marriage. I ran into the court and said, no, Judge, no, don't do that. Pow! He said, I'm so fucking sorry. You owe 12 months worth of back child support at $1,500, and now that you decided to motion, the court will change it to $250. That would be a unfair debt collection practice. Oh, I guess you should have protected my due process rights. When I look at the actual judgment from the time of dissolution of marriage, and I look at did you actually give notice to the respondent, and then I look at, well, what was the respondent doing? Were they on welfare or unemployment at the time of the dissolution of marriage or the year before? Yes. And then I look at their actual income. There's what's known as a debt to income ratio. Now, I was looking at these different loans you can get for FHA housing and or VA housing and these different housing. Yes, let's say you're one of these military personnel. Oh, you got involved with a woman, you had a few children, you loved each other. And then you go to use your VA loan, and the debt to income ratio does have to include child support. Poo-poo! Your fixed income costs are astronomical, and you can't buy that house. Could you go through all of those that are in the military for the last 40 years? Hooch. Well, judge said, well, fuck you, you fucking soldier. Pooch. And decides to issue a child support award to the respondent, no, the petitioner that said you committed domestic violence. And now you can't use your VA loan. You can't get, oh, now you're violating the Veterans Administration issuance of the GI Bill and the available mortgages to those that have been active duty. Now, when I get done going, well, Judge, your bad behavior is so, Judge!